So I'm building this little end table. First I'm gonna start off by cutting my 4 legs. These are just some normal cheap 2x4s. Get at the store, at Lowe's, you know, your hardware store, whatever. They're actually studs. Right now they're like $2.60 or so a piece. I know back a few months ago they were like $4 something a piece, so the price definitely fluctuates a lot on these. I went ahead and started cutting these off 2 foot. They're all 2 foot long. Of course, I'm gonna go sand these down and then I will stain them. And I'm gonna pause the video here and I'm going to go ahead and get to the next part. Kind of get all our framing pieces cut up and stuff like that. And then we'll go with the top. We're gonna use 1x4s. You see I got one down there. It's kind of a mess in here, but some 1x4s I'm gonna use for the top, and then I'll probably build a little shelf on the bottom of it as well. So I just got these set in here, but this is kind of the style we're doing to get our 2 foot boards. Of course, it's gonna be the same thing right here. It's gonna be over here, then we're gonna tie it together. So what I'll do is I'll take a 2x4 and run it in here, and it's gonna go over to the inside of the other board over here. Same way on both sides. So this is kind of up to you how you're gonna decide to cut it. I'm only gonna go 4 or 5 of these 1x4s wide. Is about as wide as I'm gonna go. So let me measure that here. So depending on how wide you want to go, a 1x4 actually measures 3.5 inches. Some people know that, some people don't. Same way with 2x4s, measure the same way. You don't really get what you pay for, so that's what they call them. But when we're gonna put that board in here, we don't want to go normally all the way out to this 2x4 on the edge over here. Sorry, I'm not watching my camera. We can go all the way out, but sometimes I come back in just to kind of hide the board a little bit more. Just to make this easier, we'll go ahead and go out. So if we're gonna go 4 wide, 4 of these wide, that'd be 3.5 times 4, so 3, 6, 9, 12, 13, 14. So we'll need a 14-inch 2x4. We'll need 2 of them, 1 for each side, and then 2 for the bottom if we're gonna do a shelf on the bottom. So let's go ahead and I'm gonna cut 4 14-inch 2x4s. Should get that matched up there. Fix it just a little bit. So I got it measured. It's not hard to do that with one hand. But then the scrap pile, when we take this, you can go through and measure each one of these if you want. If you're going for absolute perfection, there's really no need to do that. What you can do is get a longer piece of board up here, take your one you just cut and make sure it's perfectly flush on your back end here. And then this is gonna take 2 hands, so I'll be able to video it. Once it's perfectly flat back here, I will slide up my board. And as I pull down my blade, I'll pull down the blade towards touching on this board I'm about to cut and slide it down to where it hits. Get as close as you can, pull up the saw a little bit, turn it on, and then make my cut. And that's a really quick way to get all 4 boards these same 14 inches. I got my 14-inch cut, and it's gonna go flush back here with this board, slide up to the top. This is going to be kind of the inside brace, and we're gonna have, see how that leg's right there? We're gonna have our other one right here at the end of this doing the same thing. And we'll do at the bottom too, depending on, you know, in this case, we're doing the shelf on the bottom. And then I'm gonna go through and put my top on, and our 4 boards should be about the width. This is more of like a entryway table or a really small table. It's supposed to be kind of skinny because it slides up against the wall by a doorway, and you put, you know, decorations on it or, you know, whatever you want to do. So far now, here's our 1x4s, which will be our top, and for our shelf, if you want to do a shelf, we got them all cut. Here's our legs, and we have also 4 of our braces that's actually going to hold it together. And I'm going to need 4 more of these. It's easier to wait until all of it's built and then go through and put the bottom shelf in there because your sizing can be a little bit different. So that's what we're going to do with that. I'm going to go sand these down, and we're going to start, I'm going to probably sand this actually first because it makes it easier, because when you get a whole bunch of different, like for example like this, it's really hard to stain in spots like that. So it's easier if you just go through, stain the whole board, and then put together. Probably going to use a brad nailer and to hook these to our frame of the table. and then actually build the frame, we'll probably use like some 3-inch screws or something like that. So down here in my workshop office, whatever you want to call it, I came down here and the stain I chose is a newer stain I came across called Briar Smoke. I think it's really pretty. It's like an old, almost like a barnwood looking color. So I got all my top, here's my top boards. I didn't do the end because once I get all the boards lined up, cuts aren't always perfect. So I'm gonna go through, I'm gonna make all the ends flat with sanding and smooth and kind of rounded. And then I will stain the ends. Here's our bottom pieces. These are for our legs. Obviously there's no point in staining the bottom because it's going to be on the floor. This ends up getting, you know, stain peeling off, or not peeling off, but kind of rubbing off over time on the floor, and it just gets tore up anyway. And same way with the other end. The other end goes up inside the table, so it'll never be seen, so there's no point in doing either end on these. But then your brace boards need to be sanded, the entire board, all ends, backside, both sides, flat top, flat bottom, so on. But that's pretty much all the pieces for our table. See the sign back here, you can go to our website. We laser engrave cool signs like this. This is a design I made myself, actually. Go to weaverfamilyfarms.com, check that out. We sell these signs. Depending on the time of year and the stain and stuff, we have small ones that start at $20, and then one this size is usually about $45. It's solid wood, engraved, stained, you know, sanded and everything. But anyway, so that's pretty much it for now. I'm gonna have to pause and wait a while for this. We're getting pretty close to dry, but I'm gonna take all this, you know, outside into the garage so I can assemble it a little easier. I'll take my drill with me. Hopefully you got a DeWalt drill like this if you're following along. And some good screws like I was talking about earlier. You want to use Torque screws. The star head. You don't want to use Phillips. You can use whatever you want, but Phillips just strip out and it's a lot harder to deal with. But these are, I'm not sure if they're like 2.5, maybe 3-inch. But when you're putting like your framing together, you want to hold your screw up like this no matter what you're building. And you want your screw to go about halfway or 3/4 of the way into your next. And sometimes, even in this case, it'll be a little farther. So I'm going to sink the screw in a little bit. And we're still going to have, I don't know, a 1/5 or a 1/4 of the board left down there. Sorry, I'm not watching the camera again. So that way you don't have a screw sticking out, but you can also suck the screw in so it's not sticking out. The head's not sticking out either. But I'm going to come back once I start putting this thing together and see where we can get to. Okay, so now I'm starting to build one side. You can see, I know it's dark because the table's there. But I have this board and it's flush all the way to the top because this is going to be the top of our table. Once again, this is one of those short brace boards, and these long ones right here are the legs. Now I'm putting on our brace. Not only will this help hold the bottom stronger, but this will allow us to put our shelves. Now you can do the spacing however you want, but I just take my tape measure. Over here on the other side, I got one screw in to form and get the tape measure out here. And I did 2 inches. I'm gonna come over to this side and square it up, and I'm going to do 2 inches here as well. Screw that in, then I'm going to duplicate it to the other side, and that'll be both of our legs for our tables ready to go. Besides needing to add one more screw, because you want 2 for each spot where it connects, this is what it looks like. This is one side. I'm making this probably to where these brace boards are going to be on the outside. I think it kind of looks cool compared to this part being the outside. I'd use these on the outside. So now I need to get the other side put together exactly like this, then I'll be able to fasten our top on. That's going to hold the top. And then when we go through and put our shelf on the bottom, those shelvings is going to hold the bottom together. And we'll use nails and probably some wood glue of some kind for that. Okay, so side-by-side comparison right here. This is both of our sides. Obviously this down this way is the bottom on both of them. This is going to hold our shelf. Up there's the top where the boards are flush. See if I can set them up here and get them to stand up by themselves. Probably not, but yeah, might want to stay. I don't have any fancy camera holder or nothing, so sorry you're having to get all my motions here, but So this is our table here. So it looks like. And then our 1x4s. Set up here just like this. Remember, that's where we cut these to match the same length as 4 1x4s. Now obviously I don't have it straight here, but you can kind of see how that's going to work. We can glue these on and then probably use a brad nailer. I'm going to go out to the garage to do that. I ended up just staying in here in my workshop office in the basement here to start putting it together, make it a little easier on outside. It is cold outside. I'm going to do that, and then we'll be able to figure out also how we're going to do our shelving on the bottom. Alright, so it does take a minute to get it all squared up and everything. And this board, I only have this one attached. It's glued and brad nailed. Use my brad nailer you see down there. Make sure all these boards are straight with each other. And to go ahead and square it up, what I did is take 2 of the boards that were supposed to go on the top, and I ended up with this. Because if these boards, you put them flat against this inside of these, and the same way over there, that's going to help you square up as well as getting your first one up on top squared up. Just make sure you'll go through and make sure I did like a 3/4 of an inch overhang, and you need that to match your overhang up top, so it makes it all square and look right. We're gonna have little gaps down here on the bottom. That's just the most simple way to do it. I mean, you can go through and do like 1x2s and stuff and probably get it pretty tight. But when that put our next 1x4 in here, and we'll have just a little bitty gap on each side. We'll make it uniform to look even. So what I need to do, I cut 3 more of these boards. We need 2 more up top, 1 more on the bottom. So I'm gonna sand it and sand them and then stain them. And I will bring them out, put them on there and put that one down there. And we should be pretty much good to go besides just a little bit of finish sanding. And then we'll need probably some touch up with the stain. But it is coming along and looking pretty dang good. So I got all the boards on. Top and bottom's kind of what it looks like I was telling you about, like with the gaps. And now, what I was talking about earlier, why I didn't sand the ends, is because they're never really gonna be perfect, just because, you know, I'm human. So, I take my sander and I go through here, and I'll sand, and it'll kind of allow me to get all this, you know, I'll kind of round it a little bit and make sure it's all flat. So brought it back inside for finishing up out in the garage, and it is pretty much done now. Besides, if you want to, you can touch up a few spots like where I put the extra screws in. I've just stapled it up. Like I said, you know, you need 2 on each piece. So obviously when you put the screw in, you lose a little bit of stain, but here's how the bottom looks like. Top, boards all together on the top. You can see where I went through, sanded and made these ends of these boards flat, and then I went over and put 1 more light layer of stain on it and really got the ends real good. This is something, I mean, I could build in 30 minutes and have it stained in probably 5, you know, if I build as I cut, but you know, this took me about 4 hours or so from start to finish, 5 hours. That's also letting the stain dry. Normally when I build something, you know, I'm not videoing, and I could just kind of go off of memory and just cut a whole bunch of boards, start putting it together, go cut, put it together, and finally get it all together. And then I'll hook up the air compressor, spray gun, put some stain in it, and go through and spray the whole thing in 5-10 minutes, and it's done. But when you're doing it by hand, staining it by hand, you want to make sure to stain all the boards first, otherwise you'll never get those gaps. But, you know, of course, if you got a spray gun, like I do, normally use it when it's not this cold, though. Otherwise, it just kind of becomes a pain. But that is what it looks like. I think it looks pretty good. Don't know if I'll end up keeping it in here somewhere or not, but might end up selling it, who knows. But that's how you build this. Hopefully y'all are able to do it if you're trying to follow along and build it. It's actually pretty simple. But that's it for this video. For me to, you know, keep being able to build stuff like this and share my designs and patterns and things if you like it. I'd really appreciate it if you thumbs up the video here if you're watching on YouTube. Because I obviously make money from ads when people watch my videos, and when you like videos and subscribe and stuff like that, it helps, you know, more people be able to see my videos and helps me to make a little bit of money to keep on using my time to make things like this and show you all how to do it. But that's it for this video. Please like, share, and subscribe. Comment if you have any questions or suggestions. No, I do not have any plans for this. I always have people ask if I have plans for what I'm building, but I do not have any plans. I always just build things kind of as I go, and that's what I did with this one. I've never even built one of these before. I just kind of went along and recorded as I did it. That's it, guys. Thanks for watching. God bless you all. Merry Christmas. See you later. Bye-bye.